Did Caleb Williams' playoff performance stamp him as a top 10 quarterback in the NFL?
I believe so, but it wasn't just the playoff win. Yes, the playoff win is obviously a monumental step in the right direction as far as when you talk about what his first playoff performance was like versus others, including Drake May that we just watched, the clutch factor, what we've seen from Caleb the whole year. This was a slow buildup to Caleb being this guy. Yes, the playoff game is huge, but as somebody who grew up in Chicago, somebody who understands the complexities of being in the division and what Green Bay has done to Chicago, let me put it into context. Caleb Williams, now in his second season, has more victories over the Green Bay Packers than Jay Cutler, Justin Fields, and Mitchell Trubisky combined throughout their entirety of their career. That
That's
in
insane.
that in and of itself, okay, to be in the division that they were in, to be able to knock the Packers in the mouth in year two, to take this team not only obviously as the second seed, but to the next round of the playoffs. Yeah, we always knew, you and I both knew and have always believed in the talent that is Caleb. The problem was Matt Eberflus was not the right coach, and I was waiting to see who they got. They got the right guy. They are the right tandem, and this is the worst version of Caleb and Ben that we're going to see. And that, to me, is very exciting, obviously, as a Bears fan, to think that this is only going to get better.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. I think it was about this performance putting Caleb Williams as a top 10. I think after that performance, he deserves to be as a top 10 quarterback, right? And if we go through this list, we know we have the core four quarterbacks, right? That everybody put as the all-pro elite guys, the Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, right? Then you get into this next tier with the Matthew Staffords, the Baker Mayfields, the Dak Prescotts. You may want to throw, and this is right where I throw his name in there, is when you get to the Jared Goffs, the Jordan Loves, right? I think he's inside of the top 10. And the reason why I think Caleb Williams is inside of the top 10, the one thing that he gained from this performance was confidence, right? Was the confidence that I could do it. So now I trust Caleb Williams, right? He earned my confidence to maneuver throughout the regular season, and I trust him in the regular season. Now I trust him in the postseason. And that's something you can say not about every quarterback, right? Like that they have the ability to make plays and tying it back into the Justin Herbert conversation. I think Caleb would have made a couple more plays against the New England Patriots just because he has that playmaking ability, knack, and instincts to his game, right? So I think it did a lot of stuff for Caleb Williams as far as elevating him. And I'll say this: when it comes to Caleb Williams, the rest of the NFL should be on alert. They should be concerned. They should be nervous about this young man because he had all the physical tools. The last thing he needed was the confidence in the NFL game to slow down and for him to understand how to take over a game. And I think he learned all of that throughout the year. And then the postseason is just adding on to that.
And I think if you heard anything from, I think it was Cole Kmet that gave the quote after the game, at halftime, Caleb gave a speech to the whole team and said, "This is going to be the greatest comeback in the history of the NFL." That's what he said out loud to all his teammates. To be able to speak that into existence and go make it
Mhm.
happen, right, is incredibly powerful. From
Yep.
coaching staff to him as a leader, the confidence and the leadership that he's shown as a young man, obviously only in year two, is insane. And I think that's where it's not I have confidence in Caleb, but my other thing that has given me even more confidence is how all of his teammates react to him, how all of his teammates talk about him, all the things that go on behind the scenes. And that's the part of this that you go, okay, this kid just he wants to be great. And you and I had an interview with him many years ago, right? And we talked to him and we heard how he spoke. And I never wavered. I was very excited when the Bears got this kid. We've seen him now come into his own with Ben Johnson. And I think when you talk about being in the pressure of being at home in Chicago, the first game in 15, like they played that game, the double doink in 2018, but they were trying to go win a game for the first time in 15 years against their biggest rival, and they were down by 18 points. To be able to mentally handle that moment and come back and win is insane. Insane. Especially when you consider that he already did this a few weeks before to win the division in overtime. And I think that's the part of this, like, you can't manufacture those moments. They happen naturally. But when you do get the moments, you get to see who a player is. And, man, I agree with you. I can't imagine the confidence level in him is all time high. And that throw that he made on the run, rolling to his left, was ridiculous. It was ridiculous, and he has all the talent and now all the confidence and the coaching staff to match it. Yeah, as a Bears fan, it's a new time. I don't even know what to do with myself, Keith. It's just so great. It's just beautiful. It's beautiful to watch. Beautiful.
Yeah, and for me watching Caleb throughout the duration of that game, I thought he came in ready. I didn't think it was a situation where they got down by 18, all the pressure was off him, and then he was ready to rock and roll, right? I thought from the very beginning he was locked and loaded and ready to play good football, right? You seen him get on Luther Burden, right, about running the wrong route,
Yep,
not having the right sight adjustment and not doing what he's supposed to do that led to the interception. If there was anybody I thought that had some nerves in the game, I thought it was head coach Ben Johnson.
I
I
agree.
thought Ben Johnson, when it came down to play calling and clutch time moments, the fourth downs, the third downs, I think he tried to do too much at certain moments, and then the play calling just didn't match up. And at halftime, I was saying this. I was saying that Green Bay defensive coordinator was out coaching Ben Johnson in that
Yes.
moment, right?
Yep.
So I actually think it was probably more stress relieving for Ben Johnson to
I
get
agree.
down by 18 points to say, you know what, we have nothing to lose. But Paige Dimakos, the end result was the Chicago Bears beat the Green Bay Packers, right? They beat them. This is their second time coming back. The first time was in overtime fashion, right, to the Green Bay Packers. Then this time was in the playoffs. I want to ask this. Has there been a power shift in the NFC North?
Sure feels like it. I can't remember a time as a Bears fan where the team was down any amount of points and I felt confidence that this team was going to come back. And you can call my brother for evidence. They were down 18 at half and I didn't waver at all. And it's because this team has proven, and Caleb has proven, that it does not matter until it hits quadruple zeros. This team is going to fight. The whole team, every minute until the end. And the part of this from the NFC North perspective is you look at Minnesota and what we thought this team could be. They move on from Sam Darnold, and now, as of right now, it looks like a big failure, right? They're being linked to potentially bringing Kirk Cousins back. We have no idea what J.J. McCarthy's going to be like, but that team looks in flux. Then you look at the Lions, and that team, I believe, will be back, but they're going to have to find a play caller that can give Jared Goff the confidence that Ben Johnson gave Jared Goff. And I love Dan, but Dan is not the guy from an offensive perspective that's going to do that for Jared Goff moving
Why
forward.
you think that? Why you think that?
Because he's not a schematic guy. He's a rah-rah head coach. And there's a part of this that if you look at what makes Jared Goff tick at his highest level, he needs somebody like he had with Ben, like he had with Sean McVay, to get him to that point. Because Jared has a lot of talent, but his confidence wavers. And you've seen that happen when he played for the Rams, and you've seen it happen when he's playing with Detroit. And I believe Caleb Williams is a better quarterback than Jared Goff. So that's the part for this that I look at this and I go, okay. On top of that, then you look to Green Bay. Green Bay doesn't have 2 first-round picks in the Micah trade. They have already paid Jordan Love. They already are on the hook for Micah Parsons. They are in over the cap coming into the year. They haven't signed Christian Watson. They haven't signed Tucker Kraft yet. They're going to have some tough decisions to make, and that's all before we even talk about whether or not Matt LaFleur has a job. So the Bears have the most stable situation for the first time in my lifetime, literally. And I that has to do with the coaching staff, the quarterback they have in place, and the way that they've built this roster and the way that they've drafted, Keith. A lot of question marks over Luther Burden and Colston Loveland and some of these guys who have all turned into major players for this team. This is a team that is only going to get better, in my opinion, as they move forward, and I don't envision them giving up the North anytime soon.
Yeah, no, the future is bright in Chicago, right? You talked about it. Caleb Williams being a second-year quarterback, Darnell Wright being a young offensive tackle, Luther Burden being a young wide receiver, Roma Dunze being a young wide receiver, Kyle Monangai being a rookie. The future is bright for the Chicago Bears offensively, and they're winning while they're young, right? And I'll say this, that the reason why this is different than I believe than the Washington Commanders last year, because the Washington Commanders, I thought, caught lightning in a bottle,
Yeah.
right? And caught people off guard. This team is winning because they're talented, right? They have talented young players that are showing up, and so I think it's sustained success. So to answer the question, should the Packers be concerned about the hierarchy in the NFC North? Yes, the hell they should, because for the first time in about 30 years, they don't have the best quarterback in the NFC North moving forward, right? It's Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears, and I feel confident in saying that because I think that game against the Packers, you were able to see the different ceilings, right? The different thresholds. Jordan Love is a good quarterback. I think Jordan Love has a Pro Bowl ceiling. You've seen Caleb Williams operate at a potential, this guy can be an all pro at some point in the NFL, right? And has should be in the conversation of being the could be in the conversation, I'm sorry, of being the best quarterback in the NFL. So there's definitely a power dynamic for the next decade that could be at stake when we talk about the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, this comes down to two things. To me, when anybody discuss in the media, when we look at the health of an organization, it has to do with two things: the quarterback that they have and the head coach that they have. And to me, the Chicago Bears have the best quarterback head coach tandem in the NFC North. And that's what matters. That's the first time that I've ever been able to say that. And to me, on top of that, you also have a quarterback on a rookie deal, right? Which also matters when you're talking about building out the organization and the ability to have flexibility with your roster. This part, especially with Minnesota, I think is the most interesting thing, is because that team was really in a place to compete and moved off of Sam Darnold. And I can't help but think they're thinking, wow, they're having buyer's remorse, right? And I'm not saying they have
bought
to
into
be.
the media, right?
Yep.
The minute Sam Darnold lost and all of the media called him a choke job, they said, you know what? We can't move forward with this young man. Instead of doubling down and saying, listen, we have a good thing, right? And that's the thing about going from good to not being satisfied and saying, I always say this, right? That NFL teams, you need to look at quarterbacks of, can we win a Super Bowl with him? Right? Not can he be the best quarterback in the NFL
Yeah.
or can he carry us to a Super Bowl? Is can we win a Super Bowl with a quarterback? Minnesota Vikings last year, y'all had a quarterback y'all can win a Super Bowl with because he showed you that he can play at a high level, and now he's doing it with the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, it would have been I think you can't help but think that Kevin O'Connell's sitting there going, man, what if, right? Sitting there,
Yep.
especially when you've got guys like Justin Jefferson on your roster and Jordan. I mean, they've got a nice young nucleus offensively between
Jordan
that wide
Addison, yep.
receiver room, the running back room. They've got pieces to really like. And you're unsure. I'm not writing off JJ McCarthy.
No.
I think he can be successful in this league, but I really believed that Minnesota was going to sign Sam Darnold and let JJ McCarthy get healthy and develop. And instead, they rushed to make this decision, and it looks like so far it's been the wrong one. So that's the team I thought was really well suited to do the right thing, and they misstepped. So now they're going to have to hope and pray that JJ McCarthy not only is a good quarterback, but stays healthy, Keith, because he hasn't been able to stay healthy either.